Look out, boxing fans. It's your boy, Ashy Knuckles, trying this Google Hangouts thing again. I really like the Google Hangouts, man, because it's one take videos. Get your point across, get to interact. If people kind of jump in the chat, one take videos, no uploading. The biggest thing for me, I ain't gotta upload a damn thing. So I like it. So on this particular one, we're gonna talk about Lamont Peterson versus Errol the Truth Spence. And a lot of people, are looking past Lamont Peterson, but I beg to differ. I really think this is going to be Errol the hold on. I think this is going to be a straight up war. Honestly, I think these boys are about to go extra hard. And the reason why I say that is not because I believe Errol Spence hasn't fought good competition, or he hasn't fought anybody that was on the level or better than Lamont Peterson. Obviously not. One of the guys that Errol Spence just knocked off for the IBF strap was Kell Brook, who is a big welterweight, a big durable welterweight, fundamentally sound, big right hand, mostly known for his 1-2 shots. I mean, he's able to just straight nullify your aggression with the jab and make you get right with that straight right hand, pretty much the way he did Sean Porter the whole damn night when they fought. And we already saw what Errol Spence did with Kell Brook. He would make him basically give up. Let's just say he stopped him, injuring his other eye. Not the eye that Triple G happened to touch up, but the other one. So, but anyway, in this particular fight, you got two guys whose skills kind of mirror each other. I'm not here to say who has the better skills, the better technique. I just want to highlight the fact that they both can do a lot of things very well. They both can box. They both can bang, right? One of the big things I used to credit Lamont with is the fact that his inside game was so much better than his boxing ability, his outside boxing ability. And I think some of his shortcomings as a fighter was because he wasn't using his inside game. Like when he fought Matisse, I thought he had the wrong game plan. Fight trying to outbox Matisse. You got to understand, when you looking at the tape, when you analyzing old footage, when you're coming up with a game plan against your future opponent, you got to figure out what his strengths are. Most people were clamoring about the big power of Lucas Matisse, as you should, because when he hit people, they get hurt. And, it's hard to fight back and, from being hurt, let alone trying to continue racking up points round by round while hurt. So I understand that, when you're fighting a guy that has an eraser, you got to be mindful of the fact that any shot that he hits you with, if he hits you with enough snap in the shot and he hits you flush, as in boxing, it only takes one shot to end the night. So, and he's a guy who has proven he can do that. And I think their game plan was to try to stay away from the big power of Lucas Matisse. And Lucas Matisse basically walked him into a big shot. But I think if he would have used his inside game against Lucas Matisse, which is not something that Lucas Matisse does all the time, you know what I'm saying? Just straight take the fight to a person's chest, where it's a game of inches now, where you won't see no jab being used because there's not enough room to get a jab off. I thought it would have been a different fight, because Lamont Peterson has proven fight by fight that anytime he's resorted to his inside game, he has the ability and the skill to make it a very uncomfortable fight for his opponent, i.e. Amir Khan. He started off trying to box Amir Khan, and he was losing. But when he started trying to take the fight to his chest, Amir Khan got very uncomfortable and start pushing his ass. I mean, they got literally have videos online showing how he pushed Lamont Peterson literally 100 damn times in the fight, to which a point was taken off. And a lot of people thought it was bullshit, that it was some home cooking, but apparently they weren't seeing all those pushes that was going on in the fight. And if you know boxing, pushing is a foul, and no competent official is going to allow you to continue to foul your opponent without warnings, point deductions, in the worst case scenario, disqualification. But anyway, another fight, Lamont Peterson was using his inside game, and it was working very well. We'll stay in the welterweight division. I believe it was a welterweight division. It may have been catchweight. I forget the fight where Lamont Peterson fought Danny Garcia. And a lot of people thought Lamont didn't do enough. And, my whole argument with that is that if Lamont didn't do enough, what the hell did Danny Garcia do? Because he did less than what Lamont did, and I thought Lamont won that fight handily. He outboxed, he boxed when he wanted, he moved when he wanted, he fought when he wanted, and he was scoring the whole time. I didn't see what everybody else was looking at. I guess that's why when you judge in fights, it takes 3 sets of eyes, as in 3 judges, to collectively put their their minds together to figure out who wins these things. I guess judging is one of those things that's subjective. You like what you like. That's always something I always say anyway, because that's what it seems like. Scoring fights is what it amounts to. You like what you like, But anyway, he's up against this young charge named Errol Spence. Everybody knows about Errol Spence. He's the young guy who got his name not just from being an Olympian or being a good amateur, several-time national champion. Actually, Lamont Peterson was a several-time national champion as well. I think Errol Spence didn't, Lamont Peterson fought at around lightweight in the amateurs, and Errol Spence fought at junior middleweight, I believe. Well, he fought at 152 pounds. And he is a bigger guy. He's a younger guy, and he is a bigger guy. And this is actually a fighter that Lamont Peterson is facing, who has a inside game that's comparable to his. Lamont Peterson won't have the ability to make Errol Spence uncomfortable on the inside. He's not going to hold. He's not going to run. Oh, shit, who was this? From Ontario, Canada. No, there's probably some work, but I ain't working in January, so fuck that. He won't have the ability to make Errol Spence uncomfortable with the inside game, because that's Errol Spence's game. But Errol Spence is a guy who also can box, but his MO when fighting is to break a guy down and try to stop him somewhat in between 1 and 12, He's not a guy that, even though everybody knows he can punch, you got fighters that say he can punch. You got Adrian Broner saying, God damn, this dude can hit hard. You got a lot of people saying he can hit hard. And Errol Spence is not one of those guys who, even though he knows he can hit hard, hell, even Jermell Charlo said he can hit hard, and they've been sparring, and Jermell's bigger than him. Jermell fights at a higher weight. And I've seen Jermell in there with super middleweights, big motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? For him to verbally say that, he must really mean it, But anyway, Errol Spence is not a guy who will start to look for that one-punch power, because he fell in love with it. And that has been one of the detriments to a lot of boxer punchers historically in this game. And you can start naming names. Once they figure out they had a big punch, a lot of times they would abandon their boxing skills looking for that big punch, throwing one shot at a time. You're not going to win rounds like that. You're not going to win rounds like that. You got to stay true to what your skill set is, the things that you did that made you great, and continue doing what you're doing. And Errol Spence, that's one of the things that I like about him, because you don't have, if you got power, you don't have to train for power. What are you training for? When you touch guys, that over time, if you got the ability to disconnect a nigga with one shot, that once you get that good flush shot in, you don't have to worry about it. At some point, he's just gonna lay down. And if he just strong enough to endure the shot, or as we say, he got a durable chin, could take a better punch, Then you just beat on him till you don't want to stand there no more. Look out, Natty. I see Natty in the chat. What's good, brother? Just over here. You know, I like this Hangouts deal, bro. This shit's pretty tight, man. No uploading, man. I should have got on this a long time ago. But these guys are gonna do it. You know, Errol Spence is a guy, even when he hadn't won a world title, had been, you know, basically fighting the guys that Al been put in front of him, contenders. And you know what? A top-notch fighter knows if a fighter is supposed to be across the ring from him, hands down. And if he knows that, a top-notch fighter is gonna do what he's supposed to do with him and get him the fuck out of there, you know, as quickly as possible if he can. So the knock on Errol, even though that he doesn't have like the resume of most of the guys that he's calling out, including Lamont Peterson, who he's fighting in January, at least the guys that have been put in front of him, he's just walking right through them. So what more can you say about him? He's asking to fight the bigger names, but the bigger names aren't budging. And at the same time, the bigger names keep telling him, "Oh, you got to fight bigger names." So what more can this kid do? You know, he got to do what he got to do in order to make himself presentable for those more attractive fights. And a fight against Lamont Peterson will do that because Lamont is an accomplished fighter. You know, he's what, 35-3. He only lost against the who's who in boxing. He lost against Timothy Bradley, Hall of Famer, Lucas Matisse, who's a solid, credible fighter, and a disputed fight against Danny Garcia. He won titles in 2 divisions. He just vacated the WBA regular title, welterweight title. And we already know that he beat Amir Khan in the junior middleweight. No, I'm sorry, the junior welterweight, you know, super lightweight division. And Amir Khan was unified. He was a unified champion. And I hate to bring it up or you know, as a sidebar, but Amir Khan at 140. Remember, Timothy Bradley purposely did not fight Amir Khan at 140, saying that if he lost that fight, and I quote, that takes me out of the Mayweather sweepstakes. When he was trying to secure fights against Pacquiao and Mayweather, and he purposely did not fight Amir Khan. And Peterson fought Amir Khan and he beat him. And I think he went down a couple of times, once or twice in that fight. And he fought to the end, made Amir Khan very uncomfortable, and he beat him. But moving on. So Lamont Peterson, you know, a guy who has never really turned down big fights. When you look at his resume, he's fought the who's who of boxing. Obviously, you can't fight everybody, but when you look at his resume, you see a lot of names that you know, whether it was 140 pounds or 147. He hasn't fought there that long, but the guys that he's been fighting, at least you know, you recognize some of the names. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at 140, he fought. You got a Leonardo Tyner on there. You know, the pain server, who gave a lot of people very uncomfortable fights, and especially is known for knocking off prospects. I don't know if y'all recognize Willie Blaine. Willie Blaine was a really good amateur. I think he's from France. He was a real good amateur. And he was undefeated at the time. You know, I thought he would do a whole lot more in boxing as a professional that he did. I got a lot of respect for him, but Lamont went in there and did that thing against him. Of course, he fought Timothy Bradley, fought Victor Ortiz. I think he went down a couple of times in that fight, fought back and got a a majority draw. He beat Victor Cayo by KO. Cayo was a live fighter up in there. He beat Amir Khan. He beat Kendall Holt. I'm not sure if that was before or after Kendall Holt knocked out Julio Diaz. And you know, Julio Diaz, even after being knocked out in 3 rounds against Kendall Holt, went on to give Sean Porter a hell of a fight in their first fight. So that speaks volumes on Kendall Holt. And we already know Kendall Holt, you know, he had the ability to disconnect guys with a shot. You know, it's just the way that, you know, the way it goes down. He could punch. You know, even Timothy Bradley says no one has hit him as hard as Kendall Holt, at least until he got the Provodnikov. Lamont has fought De'Aaron John. He's fought Danny Garcia, Felix Diaz. I mean, it goes on and on, man. And Errol Spence doesn't have the resume of Lamont Peterson. That's why a win over Lamont would make Errol Spence that much more attractive in luring the quote unquote names at welterweight to the table. Now, the fact that he has a world title and they don't, with the exception of unified champion Keith Thurman and Joe Horn, you would think by the fact that him having a world title, that would be enough to lure the bigger names into a fight with him. But I digress on that. I mean, that in itself ought to tell you something. It tells me something. If he really wasn't that good, or if you didn't really respect him, you would go and knock him off and take his title. I mean, that's what a fighter would do, because you having a title guarantees you a much better leverage when you're at the negotiating table, as opposed to not having it at all. So it is what it is. But anyway, man, I don't write Lamont Peterson off whatsoever. And like I said, a lot of their skill sets kind of mirror each other. The only difference is, Errol Spence is a southpaw and Lamont Peterson boxes orthodox. When you look at the intangibles, a lot of advantages kind of go to Errol Spence's side, and I'll explain. He's younger, so he's a much more fresher guy. He doesn't have a lot of ring wear. He's never been stopped. He's never been beaten. He's a southpaw. He's a much bigger fighter. He even fought in the amateurs at a higher weight that he's campaigning right now. So he's a naturally bigger, stronger, younger guy, and he's southpaw. And he got a good inside game. So at some point, like I said before, Lamont Peterson using his inside game is not going to be able to use his great inside skill set to make Errol Spence uncomfortable. At the same time, Errol Spence is not going to be able to use his inside game to make Lamont uncomfortable. So what are we going to get? These boys are about to bang the fuck out until somebody stops standing. Or it could, it's a fight. It could go to a decision. But at the end of the day, we already know where this fight is going to take place. It's going to be in the middle of the ring, toe-to-toe, nobody backing up. You have two great fighters in the ring. One is a lot more accomplished than the other one. You got a young champion against a veteran, former two-division world champion. And you know what? May the best man win. Now, I heard Lamont say he had to vacate his WBA welterweight strap in order to secure this fight with Spence. And that had me wondering. So since Keith Thurman is the super champion, whoever has the regular strap at some point has to secure their shot against the super champion. Super champion is going to have to defend against him at some point. As opposed to having an IBF, there's no guarantee you getting a shot at him by holding the strap from a different sanctioning organization. So I was thinking, like, who was it, the sanctioning organization that says, you know what, I'm not going to sanction this fight with Errol Spence, and if you fight him, we're going to strip you? Was it a situation like that? Was it a situation where Al Heyman is like, you know what, drop that WBA strap, you know what I'm saying, because I don't want the winner of this to have two titles, and now I got to put my two top guys in the weight together. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I don't know. Or was it, was it that the WBA would have sanctioned the fight, and Lamont Peterson didn't want to pay a sanctioning fee? He's like, you know what, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not paying them the upside of what I'm going to get as far as a purse in this fight, because what a sanctioning fee is, what, like 3%, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. 3% may not be a lot when you getting thousands of dollars. What is that, about $30 or something like that? But when you get millions, that comes out to be a pretty penny. I wouldn't want to give up that type of money either. I don't give a damn if it's 30,000, whatever it may be. I'm not giving it up. But again, it's just speculation. He said he had to vacate it in order to get the fight. And that had me scratching my head wondering, why exactly did he have to vacate that title, in order to get this fight? I think the winner, if both straps were on the line, would be a much more attractive matchup for any top guy who wanted to face him after this fight, you know? No matter who won, whether it was Lamont, because if Lamont wins, he's right back into the thick of things. I mean, he's right there. You cannot mention top welterweight fights without talking about him. And if Errol Spence wins, then all this hype and stuff that he's getting right now off the eve of him stopping Kell Brook only adds to his shine, only puts more pressure on the top guys to actually get in there and mix it up with him, which is what, as boxing fans, we all want. So I expect an attractive matchup, man. Like they were saying in the press conference, that it's going to start off as a boxing match, but at some point they're going to end up fighting. And that's exactly what I see. Like I said, both guys do a lot of good things well. They can box, they can bang. They both protect themselves very well on the inside. When you look at their heights, they got similar heights, similar ranges, similar reach. The only difference is that Errol Spence is a little bit bigger. He is a southpaw. He's younger. He's fresher. He doesn't have the ring wear that Lamont has. You know, Lamont has been in tough fights. He's been in fights where he's been put down, actually been put down by guys who were not even deemed punchers. Timothy Bradley put him down. But, you know, Timothy Bradley probably got the same issue that Pernell Whitaker had. A lot of people, even though Pernell Whitaker had like, what, 10 knockouts or something like that out of 40 fights, you can ask his old opponents and they'll tell you, you know, yeah, you didn't see people just running in there on Sweet Pea. You know what I'm saying? He was able to back guys off of him. You know, that's just not his MO to just go in there and knock guys out. His MO was to just beat your ass, you know, as long as you want to stand there. And that's kind of like the issue with Timothy Bradley. If you were to look at Timothy Bradley and didn't know anything about him, looking at his physique, you would think, man, I don't want to get hit by that guy. But hey, bodybuilding and boxing are two separate sports and should be respected as such. As I've said time and time again, the homie Natty says, how did the last hurricane treat you? Hurt, man, it dodged me like a wide gaudy left hook, bro. Didn't touch me. You know, it was flooding all the way around my whole section, but we were good over here, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, a lot of people got fucked up. A lot of people around me got fucked up, but it missed me. So, you know, God bless them guys. I hope they're able to bounce back from the hurricane. I got pictures though. It almost came up to the garage, but it didn't. You know, it stopped, and then, you know, we had a good drainage system over here. That shit drained out, and shit, we were good, you know. But everybody else got fucked up real bad. And Natty says, I don't think you can unify with just a regular to do the WBA championship. I don't know. Can you? Because Gennady Golovkin, I think he had regular titles before he fought Canelo, right? Canelo had the real WBC, and Gennady had the interim title, and he was unified. He had all the other belts. I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I have to, you know, go back and reread the, you know, rules and regulations per sanctioning organization. I guess it depends on the organization too. You know, WBA is not the WBC or the IBF. You know, they're all different. They have a lot of similarities, but they're not the same organization. So I would imagine some of their rules are different, you know, pertaining to unifying titles. But, you know, I would like to know more information about why he had to drop that strap. You know, I don't want to just let that ride out. But at the end of the day, I'm not tuning in on the 20th of January to see fucking belts. You know, I want to see these two great fighters get in there and do the damn thing, man. You know, it's got to be a reason why these two guys are not getting big fights, or, you know, their names are not the first on the list, you know, of the fights that people want. You know, we already know Errol Spence, you know, it don't look like people are looking to fight this guy, you know, and it's not like you can't see videos with interviews of guys being asked, hey, you know, do you want to fight Errol Spence? And it's always some excuse, you know, it really is. It's really a trip, to the point where everybody wants to see Terrence Crawford come up and weight and fight Errol Spence. I know that's a fight I would love to see. You know, you got people saying Terrence Crawford is going to take the division straight over, run through everybody. And that may be, you know, it is what it is. He may have the ability to beat everybody, but you got to show me, man. And just because you dominated 140, don't mean you're gonna dominate the crop at 147 pounds. I don't take away the fact that Terrence Crawford unified 140 and became the first undisputed champion since Costa Zoo did it. I don't take that feat away from him. But a very good crop of super lightweights had just left that division too. And I got to take that into account. The Lamont Petersons, the Amir Khans, the Timothy Bradleys, the Manny Pacquiao's, and all those other great fighters, the Kendall Holtz, the Urangos, the names, they were there. And there was a good amount of them too. And he didn't fight all those guys. I'm not taking away from the guys that he fought, because the guys that were in front of him, he did what he was supposed to do with them. He got them up out of there. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like he didn't fight live guys. He fought some live guys, I would have loved to see him against a couple of other guys who are at that weight. But apparently, they didn't have straps, so I guess potential Terrence Crawford fight at that time was not appealing enough for Bob Arum to want to secure those fights for him. But he did fight, Molina, Postal, Lundy, Deary John, Dorme. He did fight some guys at lightweight too. He also fought, the guy in Dongo, which is how he went ahead and secured all 4 of those straps at that weight. And even Costa Zoo didn't do that. Not that it's necessary to be undisputed to get the WBO title, but it don't look bad to have it either. In fact, I think the WBO title is the one that Terrence Crawford had anyway. So he didn't like he had to go and get it. He had that one already. But I would have loved to see Terrence Crawford against Lucas Matisse at that weight. That would have been a really good scrap. I would have loved to see him fight Adrian Broner at that weight too. I think he would have beat Adrian Broner, but I want to see Terrence Crawford fight good African-American fighters too. Now, he did knock out Hank Lundy, but Lundy was giving him some problems early in that fight too. But Hank Lundy's chin and Terrence Crawford's punching ability just didn't it just didn't mesh together. At some point he got through the guards and he got Lundy up out of there. But I would have loved to see him in there with Adrian Broner, because Adrian Broner takes a pretty good punch. He got mollywopped against Marcos Maidana, who can hit. He put him down twice, but Adrian Broner didn't get stopped. He got up all the time, and he got his ass beat. He endured a 12-round ass whooping, but he didn't get stopped. And, when Broner is on his A game, which you never know when that's going to fucking happen, but when he's very dangerous in there, like when he fought Theophane, who was not a slouch himself in the ring. So at the end of the day, I would have loved to see those two match up. Now Adrian Broner should not even be mentioned in the welterweight sweepstakes in terms of fighting who's the best guy. I'm hearing rumblings that a potential Danny Garcia versus Adrian Broner is on the horizon. I would love to see Danny Garcia and Adrian Broner. I believe they're both coming off of losses. It was mentioned back in the game, them possibly mixing it up, but for one reason or the other, it never happened. So that would be a good look. That could be a good undercard fight for Spence versus Thurman, a potential Spence versus Thurman, or a potential Spence versus Crawford. Dark Heart 68, what's good at you? What's popping, bro? Say Crawford Spence is the next super fight. Definitely going to that one, man. Bro, I would absolutely love to see that fight. I just got through talking about it. I want that fight bad, I would love to see Terrence Crawford against Keith Thurman, because from what I hear, Terrence Crawford pretty much saying the same thing Errol Spence said. I remember back when Errol Spence had barely over 10 fights, and after Keith Thurman just knocked somebody out, Errol Spence was talking greasy on Twitter, talking about, man, I'll murk Keith Thurman. And I'm hearing that Crawford is saying a lot of the similar things, to the point where even his promoter is saying similar things. His promoter is saying that Crawford will beat Keith Thurman easily. You know, them fighting words, you know what I'm saying? So my whole thing is if I'm Keith Thurman, you know, I hear Keith Thurman saying that Crawford has to do something at welterweight to make himself attractive too. There you go with that shit again. I mean, you got the undisputed champion at super lightweight coming up in weight. I think, you know, that's an attractive matchup. Why not fight him, you know? Why not? I mean, why does he have to come up and wait and meet some criteria? He's already an accomplished fighter. That should be an attractive matchup. That should be a matchup to which there should be a lot of money on the table, you know, and it definitely adds prestige to your resume if you knock off Terrence Crawford, who is pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Why the fuck wouldn't you want to fight him? That don't even make no fucking sense. It ain't like, you know, it's Errol Spence. Errol Spence is not, he's not on the pound for pound list, top 5 from last time I checked. Not that it fucking matters because these pound for pound lists are so goddamn subjective, but Terrence Crawford is universally recognized as top 3 pound for pound. There's a lot of prestige you will get by knocking him off. And he hadn't fought at that weight yet. If I was Keith Thurman, I would have been targeting him. I don't know, man. I hate to turn this into a Keith Thurman show because I just did one on Keith Thurman. But he's just not talking right, man. He really just not talking right. And I don't want Keith Thurman fans to be all up in arms because it seemed like every time somebody mentioned Keith Thurman, I'm not talking about everybody, but you know, when they mention a favorite fighter, you know, they get kind of uncomfortable with that shit, you know? I mean, I feel you can say what the fuck you want to say, you know what I'm saying? It's your opinion, you know? At the end of the day, these guys fight for a limit. What the fuck? They fight for a living. You know what I'm saying? This is what they do. It ain't like they punch a clock. They get up in there and they do the damn thing for a big bag of money. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that would be a good scrap. I love to see it. But as of, you know, this fight right here, look at the homie Zone checked up in this thing. Look out, pimping. For this fight right here, Lamont Peterson, Errol Spence. I mean, what you guys think, man? What you think gonna happen? You know, you got guys saying that Spence is just gonna walk right through him. I don't see that, man. Tell me how you see that's gonna go down. Ain't like Lamont Peterson got that face first defense where he just stick his face out there and let motherfuckers not beat on him and shit. You know, you got to work for what you get. So the Zone says Spence better win. Yeah, if he want bigger fights, you better try to walk right through Lamont Peterson. But even Spence saying he don't think he gonna mob him. He think it's gonna be a good competitive fight. So, you know, I gotta respect that, you know. That if that's what he's saying he gonna do, we're gonna see what's going down with that. We got 2 good body punchers in there too. Especially Lamont. I think Lamont is one of the most underrated body punchers in the game. That boy be digging. You know what I'm saying? He will dig to that body, you know? He try to take the air out them tires. So if you a guy that moves a lot, when Lamont start closing the distance on you and reaching to the midsection, man, I know it's a very uncomfortable feeling for him. Because it's like he be trying to reach right through him. So Zone says Peterson could be versatile. I don't trust LP to be good on the night. Yeah, he could be versatile. He can box. I don't know. It seemed like, you know, early on in his into the game, you know, as a prospect going up through the ranks, he boxed a lot more. He still had good defense, even though he was boxing. He kind of used Winky Wright's peekaboo defense early on in his career, you know, while boxing from the outside. But as he started fighting on the inside, to me, it seems like his outside skills started eroding a little bit. He don't seem like he's as good at it as he used to be, or it could be he's not good at. He's just fighting much better competition, and his skills are not lining up with theirs in terms of outside fighting. You know, I could be wrong about that. You know, he tried it with Matisse, it didn't work. He got timed, he got put down. He tried it with Amir Khan. He was getting beat to the punch by a much faster, rangier fighter. You know, but when he used that outside game, you know, we'll see. You know, we see what goes down. You know, he made guys uncomfortable. So LP could easily win, but urge the slug win will be his downfall. You think he would? You think he can outbox Spence if he like come at him with the same blueprint he did for Danny Garcia? What you think? Let's see. Dark Heart said, I remember that. It was after the Colossal fight when Keith got touched to the body. I don't remember what I said. I don't remember what I said about that. Um, Giving quality for life was good. He said, do you think Lamont does far too much work in the gym? Doesn't have enough fight time? Man, that is an excellent question. Both these guys are gym rats right off the bat. Older, but there is a such thing as overtraining. We all know this. To the point where he doing all this work in the gym and leave everything that he got in the gym. To the point where it's on fight night, they fighting, and he's able to push out about maybe about 3 or 4 quality good rounds and start getting spent. Not to the point where he's getting mobbed through, but his output is gone down. You know what I'm saying? And he's not throwing a lot of punch. He's still defending, but it's easy to rack up points against a guy who's not throwing punches. That could definitely be it. And it take a guy on your team, whether it's a strength coach or somebody who's adept to strength training and conditioning, to be in Lamont Peterson's camp to tell him, hey man, you need to scale that shit back, pimping. Don't spar today. Don't run 5 miles a day, walk today, or go swimming. Take the day off, let your body recoup. We got a long 6, 7, 8 week camp. There's no need to go every single day in camp going hard. So, all he got in this camp is, last time I checked, is Barry Hunter and old boy who did the hand mitts, Boogaloo, or whatever they call him, Patrick Boogaloo. I forget his name. He one of the coldest with the hand mitts. But I never heard of Lamont Peterson saying that he got, nutritionists or conditioning coaches. I don't recall him ever using like Victor Conti or Alex Ariza or none of the well-known strength trainers in boxing. So you never know if he has anybody telling him, hey man, you went kind of hard today. Why don't you take tomorrow morning off, or take a whole day off and recoup and come back the following day. So, and how Lamont is, he always in the gym. He always been a gym rat. But Spence is the same way, but Spence is a younger guy. But you see Spence, when a fight may be going down at the Barclays that he's not a part of, he in that thing. So apparently he ain't in the gym every goddamn day. So I don't know. That could be to Lamont's detriment. But I'll tell you this, bro, giving quality for life, I'm going to tell you this. This ain't the fight where he need to be getting gassed. You know what I'm saying? Because if he show any chinks in the armor in this fight, he about to get fucked up. He got to be at his best fighting this young guy. This young guy, Errol Spence, you got to beat his fucking ass. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way you're going to take it up out of him, from what I see. Because, it ain't like he hasn't been hit by big punches. He don't get hit often, because even though guys are throwing shots and they're connecting against his body, it's against his shoulders, his arms, his elbows, his forearms, mostly because he protects himself so well. You know what I'm saying? But he has been hit in the dome, and he's taking it. You know what I'm saying? He got hit hard against Kell Brook, who is a good puncher. And I don't think Lamont is really throwing him like that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, a punch, it could take any punch to knock a guy out. All it takes is one to disconnect the guy and end the night. But like I said before, if he come in there and get gassed because he overtrained, he gonna get fucked up. Lamont Peterson, I'm talking about. And he don't have that fountain of youth on his side. I'm not saying he's 35 years old. We already know he's not that damn old. What is he? What is he? 29? What is Lamont Peterson? I don't even know his age. Let me see. He's 30. He's like 33 years old. Lamont Peterson. He ain't necessarily still in his prime. He's on the tail end of his prime, but he not 27. Errol Spence is 6 years his junior. So, and he's on the way up too, running through guys. 22-0 with 19 knockouts. Only 3 guys went the distance. And Zone says Kel is strong, but not known for KO punching power. I mean, he don't go in there to be Maidana, but shit, Kel Brook, shit, he got power, bro. I don't know about that. You get hit with that right hand enough, that could be a wrap. What's Kel Brook record, man? I thought he was I thought Kel Brook I always thought he was known as a good boxer puncher, knocking guys out. You know what I'm saying? 25 KOs in 36 fights. They ain't too bad. I guess that's not indicative of somebody who you would label, okay, this is a puncher, but when you look at Kell Brook's last what 10 to 15 wins, not last 10 to 15 fights, his last 10 to 15 wins, most of those were stoppages. You know what I'm saying? Most of those were knockouts. I think uh Sean Porter went the distance. Sean Porter and Carson Jones, I believe Carson Jones or something like that, gave him, where it was able to see the end of that thing. Uh who did Kell knock out? It wasn't no major names. But hey, a knockout is a knockout. You know what I'm saying? We know who Spence knocked out. He knocked out Kell Brook. So we already know Spence throwing him. You know what I'm saying? He can throw him. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, Spence last he coming off of 7-8 fight KO streak. So I think he's proven he's a pretty good puncher, pretty durable puncher. And we already know Keith Thurman be throwing them things too. So when Keith Thurman hits somebody, they know about it. Even your boy Sean Porter said that's the hardest he been hit in a fight is when Keith hit him. And he had also fought Kell Brook at that time too. So that ought to tell you that Thurman is one of the better punchers in the weight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Spence was visibly wobbled against Lardy. Yep. It's the fight game. Everybody, hell, even Andre Ward was doing a little dance earlier in his career too. So all of them were at some point. So it's a fight game, man. Any punch could do it. Thurman will KO Spence if Lardy hurt him. Thurman will. Oh hell, that's the even more reason to see the fight. And I know Thurman can hurt him. I know Thurman has the ability to KO anybody at the weight. Southpaws open the right hands, yep, and conventional fighters are open to straight lefts. Style clash. It's a perfect match. I would love to see. I would love to see that fight. To me, that's the fight to see right now at welterweight. But Thurman got to see where he at. We all know he got to see where he at. Coming back from injury is not an easy thing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you come back too soon, re-injure what you already fucked up prior to coming back. So, he got to come back, tune up, see where he at. If his elbow and shoulders and all that is feeling good, then, I guess we could talk about future fights with those two. And if not, he got to keep rehabbing, because I ain't going to lie. If he not right, you shouldn't get in the ring with none of the top 5 welterweights if you ain't right. And that's just calling it all the way funky. But, if he don't fight, like at least his mandatories, then he gonna get stripped. So I don't know, man. It's uphill for Thurman what he gonna do. You know what I'm saying? He the only one that knows what's going on with his body. So I don't want to keep putting stuff out there, or I don't want to put stuff out there like he's purposely trying to avoid Errol Spence. It's not been in Thurman's DNA to avoid big fights. He's been asking for big fights. So I don't want to be the one to be like, oh, he ducking it. That's I don't see that yet. All I can say is from how he talking, and he's just not talking right. He don't sound like himself. That's the only thing one thing I could say. Look out, Ross Clyde 222. Ashy Knuckles in the building live, one of the originals. Much respect. Please believe, much respect, man. Anybody that show me love, I got to show the love right back. In this thing talking. Thurman has the power but lacks the jab. He definitely don't lead with a jab. That's always been a knock I had against him. But But I will say this: for a guy who be leading with hooks and crosses and shit, he has the foot and hand speed to be able to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's gonna take somebody to make him stop doing that shit. Because right now, it got him 2 world titles and an undefeated record and a resume with some pretty solid names at the top of it. You know, but you're right. He has the power, lacks the jab. He don't use a jab all the time, or the stamina to beat Spence. Stamina has been one of the issues that a lot of people have seen in Thurman in the championship rounds. So that's a very good analysis right there. Stamina is going to definitely have to be one of the things that he sharpens up on if he is to get in the ring with Spence. If he ain't knocked Spence out before the not the amateur rounds, before the championship rounds. Not saying he will do it. I'm just saying when you got 2 punches in the ring, you know what? I'm not saying it's inevitable that the fight ends in KO, but it's a high probability that somebody get put down. So if Spence is in the championship rounds and Thurman gasses, that could be trouble. That will be trouble. Said even Sean Porter was having success at times on the outside versus Thurman. Sean Porter a beast, you know. We already know he don't give up in a fight, even when he getting his ass beat. Like when he was fighting Kell Brook, he never gave up. He kept fighting. He was just getting that ass painted. But he was in that thing. He was throwing a lot of punches. He was trying to close the distance. The biggest knock on Sean Porter is the fact that he overshoots his punching range. He don't know where his punching range is. Before he know it, he already in the dude's chest, holding on one side and hitting him with one hand. You know what I'm saying? And the only time I ever seen Sean Porter not overshoot his punching range is when he fought Malignaggi. That's because Malignaggi kept backing away. So every time Porter would rush in, Malignaggi would back away, and boom, Sean Porter would be right in his punching range. That's why he got the fucking knockout. That's why he knocked him smooth out. He didn't overshoot his punching range in that fight. I don't know why Sean Porter to this day does that. He gets in so close where all the snap is gone from his punch. So he just in there mauling a guy and using his physical attributes against his opponent, muscling them around, making them uncomfortable and close. But the big power that's on Sean Porter's shots are gone. He already neutralized that. He had a distance where the snap is gone from his shots. You know what I'm saying? He could fight so much better if he would not rush in so goddamn far. You know what I'm saying? That's my knock on Sean Porter. He got the conditioning, he got the endurance and the heart, but he got to stop rushing in so goddamn. I mean, he gets right in your chest, you know, just completely takes away his own punching range when he does that. There's a time for it and there's a time not to do it. But if you're trying to land good, clean, solid shots, you got to know where your range is. That's where the jab comes in at, you know. That's where your jab comes in. Your jab is not just a weapon that you can use to keep your opponent offset or to set up other punches. Your jab is your rangefinder. It basically shows you where you need to be at in distance to get your big shots off, where you will have a lot of snap on it and get the most out of your punches. Sean Porter is not schooled like that, where he dictates the pace of a fight behind the jab. He coming right at you. That's how he comes down. That's how he fights, you know. That's how he gets down, you know. Look out, Mr. Boxing Today up in the building. What's up, pimpin'? M. Reynolds says, I think Spence stops Peterson. Peterson has lost the lesser fighters. Yeah, he lost the lesser fighters, but he didn't lose to like bums, you know. He lost to Garcia, who's a solid guy. He lost to Matisse and Timothy Bradley. So, I mean, I guess it's not a big deal when you're losing to guys like that. He also has some pretty solid wins on his resume. He's pretty accomplished. You know, he was a unified champion in one weight when he beat Amir Khan. And he just vacated the WBA regular title. So he does have some feats, you know. He's not like some pushover. You know, I haven't seen anybody just run through him except Matisse. But like I was saying earlier in the video, to me, I just thought they had the wrong game plan going into that fight. To me, it was a wrong game plan for the guy that they were fighting. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Boxing Today says this is going to be a good scrap. I think so. I got Spence winning, but Peterson is a dog. That's exactly the way I see it. I think Spence is going to win the fight because there's too many advantages on Spence's side. Now, Peterson said one thing at the press conference that, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of things people perceive as advantages is up to the opponent or is up to the fighter to find a way to negate that or neutralize that to where it's not an advantage at all. Will he have the ability to do that? I don't know. We already know that boxing is a young man's game and Errol Spence is a younger fighter. There's no way you can negate a guy being younger. You can't negate the fact that he's younger. Youth is a plus in this fight. He's coming to do it. And if you gas in the fight with him, you're gone, Spence is younger. You can't negate the fact. Oh, I just said that. Spence is a southpaw. You can negate the fact that there is a natural advantage when fighting against a southpaw. You got to make sure those right hands are right there. The straight right, you got to make sure that it's there. You make sure you circle to your left when you fighting a southpaw to make him circle to his left. That way he'll be walking right into the line of fire of a right hand. That only makes your job easier. But most people don't know how to fight southpaws. They think, and I'm thinking, and I'm talking as a conventional, as if I'm conventional. A conventional fighter, when fighting a southpaw, thinks that it's going to be gravy if he moves to his right, because it looks like there's some openings over there, but it's really a trap. A conventional fighter moving to his right against a southpaw, you're only asking to get hit with the left hand. And that's point blank, period. If you fight a southpaw who knows his advantages as a lefty. And that's one thing I used to credit Kasim Umar with back in the game. Kasim Umar didn't have the talent of a lot of these other southpaws, the Zab Judas, the Spences, the Pacquiaos, or whatnot. But Kasim Umar knew his advantages as a southpaw, and he used them. He threw a high volume of punches. He circled to his right behind that southpaw jab. And he always, you would never see him going to his own left because he knew that that's walking into the line of a right hand of a conventional fighter. That's why anybody who fought Kasim for a while at 54, they got their work. They was in trouble, Granted, the fact he threw over 1,000 punches a fight, anybody who throw a volume like that, you got problems. So Peterson will have to cut that beard. No shit. Kasim Umar was a good fighter. Yeah, back when Kasim had his run, boy, he was tough to deal with, boy. For real. Peterson's best chance is to try to outbox Spence. I don't see it happening, though. I don't know. If I know Barry Hunter, he will try to have Lamont use his outside boxing ability. It may work. I don't know how you can do that because I haven't seen anybody outbox Errol Spence. And the reason why I say that is this. Errol Spence is not a crude fucking brawler. You know what I'm saying? He's calculated. And while you're moving around the ring boxing, he's coming at you, but he's taking steps forward while punching. It's not like he's closing the distance while getting beat on. You know what I'm talking about? And that's tough to deal with because a lot of fighters who box on the outside do not know how to deal with pressure. Peterson knows how to deal with pressure because he fights on the inside. So what is Peterson going to do when Errol Spence cuts the distance, when he cuts the ring in half? He going to go to inside game and they're going to bang out in close quarters. That's why I say it's going to be a war because Lamont know how to deal with somebody cutting the distance on him. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Spence is huge. Like Ross Claus say right there, Spence is huge for a welterweight. You're right. Because he was fighting in the amateurs at 152 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, he's naturally strong, and he's gonna do the damn thing. Sean did good against Devin. Yeah, he beat Devin. He definitely beat Devin. Devin, to me, Devin wasn't Devin at the time Sean got to him. Devin started showing issues going on with his body. Y'all know he was addicted to them damn painkillers. And it's like I just did a video just yesterday, and I mentioned Devin briefly that a fighter, the instrument that you have to use for battle is your body. You got your hands, your mind, and your body. If you putting impurities in your body, it's gonna show on fight night. Point blank, period. It's not like these guys are using remotes or controllers and they turn it on the PS4. They depend on their body and the work that they do every day in order to get it done on fight night. And you can see in the fights with who was that? Randall Bailey. That wasn't really a good outing for Devin. And it was a couple of other fights Devin had that weren't too good. He did good against Maidana. I thought that was one of his decisive victories when he fought Maidana. But when he fought Randall Bailey and was it Soto Carras? Was it Soto Carras that he fought? No, it was somebody before then. Matisse. When he fought Matisse. No, that was a pretty good. That was an okay fight for him too, I believe. Nope. Matisse was touching him. When he fought Matisse and when he fought Randall Bailey, those weren't particularly great outings. He wasn't looking like Devin. You know, that uppercut that he hit Urango with, you know, and you know, the fast hands and the walking guys down and mixing guys up with the hand speed. I wasn't seeing that from Devin for a while. And the time Sean Porter got in there, shit, it was over. You know, Sean Porter, you got to be right when you get in that ring with that boy Sean Porter, man, because he coming, bro. That boy coming all night. So you're going to have to deal with pressure. You have to deal with volume. You're going to have to deal with a guy who's naturally going to be stronger than you, because I think Sean Porter, you know, came into the game at 68, 60 around. I know in the amateurs he fought as a big guy, and he dieted and, you know, gradually worked himself down into a welterweight. He's a real welterweight. That's a big dude. You got issues on fight night dealing with Sean Porter. I think that's why Granados really didn't look. I mean, Granado looked okay against Sean Porter. Sean Porter looked okay against Granado, but Granado is a big dude. You know what I'm saying? He a big dude too, but he was not going to bully around Sean Porter. You know what I'm saying? Most people who get in the ring with Sean Porter gonna know they got problems. Devin was solid though. Yeah, Devin was solid. Devin, you look at his resume. Hey, he fought the who's who of boxing. He was just fighting nothing but top guys for a while. You know what I'm saying? And see, Devin just fought, I think it was last week. I think it was last week on a Friday. It may have been. It may have been early this week. I forget. I know I saw it. It was on Fox Sports. He did a comeback fight against Walter Castillo. And Walter Castillo's a pretty durable guy. And Devin looked good. Devin looked good in there. You know, he looked like he back. He don't quite look like Devin of old. I mean, you can see some ring rust, but you can see he been training. You can see he been putting in work. I heard he was in camp, not in camp, but I heard he was doing some sparring with Amir Aman. And they said he was looking good against Amir Aman, and that kind of sparked the idea of, him being ready to come back to compete. And once he beat Castillo, he said on the mic in his interview that he want Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was ringside. He said he wants Devin. Devin don't shy away from no fucking body. You know what I'm saying? He don't duck nobody. So that's why I don't mind them fighting. Why not? Why not Devin? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you using Devin as a tune-up? Shit. He could use Joe Obscuro around this bitch, and nobody know. But we know Devin. Devin is an accomplished fighter. He just kind of fell off against solid guys. You know what I'm saying? And he had an issue. He was addicted to painkillers. Now that he working all that man-made crap out of his body, taking care of himself, getting back to doing what he do, why not let Devin get a fight against Thurman? You know what I'm saying? I don't see nothing wrong with that. And I got to give Thurman his credit, man. I really, to be honest, I'm probably in the minority on this, but I got to give Keith Thurman his credit by using the former world champion as a tune-up. I mean, goddamn, he must really believe in his skills to where you like, you know what? I'm going to tune up against you. You a former world champion. You a former world welterweight champion at that. And I'm going to tune up against you. That's what I think about you. That's what I think about myself. I got to give him credit for that. So I just want to see what he's going to do after that. Because like I said in the last video, if he mobbed through Devin Alexander, just wipe him right off the fucking map. You got to be ready for anybody at welterweight. To me, you back. You know what I'm saying? If you walk through Devin, you're back. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, for a tune-up, it's not a bad fight at all. Hell, Thurman just coming off an injury. Why not? Why not, man? That's a damn good fight, man. So I would love to see that shit. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Boxing today said Bradley took the fight out of Devin. You damn right. You better have your lunch pack when you got in the ring with goddamn Bradley, boy. He was coming to do it. I also got to pay gotta make a special mention for them goddamn headbutts too, because he was headbutting the shit out of Devin in that fight when they fought. They fought in Detroit at the I forget, the Silver Dome, right? I think Gary Shaw promoted that shit. That was a minute ago. That was supposed to be a much better fight than it ended up being. You know, everybody couldn't wait for that one. You know, you had two champions getting together, and I thought Devin would have fared a whole lot better. But you know, Timothy Bradley being counted out early on in his career, and he stepped up and did his thing. Because I thought Kendall Holt was gonna beat him. You know, and that didn't go down. Shit, to be honest, I thought Junior Witter was gonna beat Timothy Bradley. And you know, time and time again, Bradley, he proved that he belonged at the upper echelon of 140 pounds and 147 pounds. And I got to give him nothing but credit for that. You know what I'm saying? Especially for a guy without knockout power, you know? It's crazy, you know what I'm saying? You can't knock everybody out, but you can always give a good account of yourself in the square circle. And that's what Timothy Bradley has done time and time again. Alexander's hand speed could be an issue for Thurman, but that is about it. What about the hell yeah, Kendall Holt can crack. What about the southpaw stance? How did? Oh, okay. Hold on. What's the name? He fought a southpaw. Collazo was southpaw. Keith Thurman. He handled his business in that fight. So maybe the southpaw stance won't do nothing with him. And, won't affect Keith Thurman at all. Maybe Alexander head speed could be an issue. I mean, we'll just have to see. Do y'all think Collazo is fresher than Devin? You know, you think that fight with Collazo was coming off the Victor Ortiz knockout, right? But I mean, that's Victor Ortiz, man. I mean, fuck, the goddamn doorman could beat Victor Ortiz. You know, he kept telling his corner, "I can't see." Oh, you talking about Devin? Oh, them headbutts. Goddamn right. That boy Timothy Bradley used that head as a fucking second jab, boy. Hey, but you know what? All the great fighters, the ones that quote unquote we call them, you know, most people say they dirty. Man, if you can do it, if you can cheat in a way where the ref ain't catching the shit, dog, that's part of your fight game. To me, that's like Bernard Hopkins hitting motherfuckers in their hip, using his shoulder whenever their face was near his shoulder when they were in the clinches. He would shoulder butt them and their face hit him in the hip. Man, that's gangster. A top man, all the throwback fighters used to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? They used to do. You got to get your elbows in. How you if you a crafty, durable throwback fighter, you get your elbows in. How you can get them. Floyd was a fucking elbowing fool. If y'all never saw Floyd elbow motherfucker, you wasn't looking hard enough. That was a forearm motherfucker, a elbowing motherfucker. When you heard fighters complaining about him elbowing, they wasn't just bitching. Floyd used to use a lot of the old tricks from the old school, but he'd do it in a way that you wouldn't even think that he was cheating. But he was cheating. You got to get it in how you can get it, because if you can get a fighter to fight out of character by you cheating and it not being flagged by the ref, he's going to do something stupid and boom, he's going to get the fight over with. Just like that, the fight's over. That's the way it go down. Those are the tricks of the trade. You can go to all these old school gyms, all these gray hair trainers and shit. They'll all tell you that shit, man. Old school fighters will beat your ass, and you damn right. You go in there with that bullshit. You got fucked up in there, man. What was that guy that Bernard Hopkins fought like 4 goddamn times at middleweight? He was pretty good. He was a southpaw. He was a pretty good southpaw fighter. Very durable, always in shape. And Bernard beat him like, I don't know, about 2 or 3 times, but he kept working his way up to a #1 contendership until Bernard sat him down for the last time. What was his name? Oh, he ended up going to 68 for a minute. What was his name? Robert Allen. Robert Allen. I think his name was Robert Allen. In that last fight he had with Hopkins, he was talking about how fucking grimy Hopkins used to be. back in the game at 60. He said Hopkins hit him so many times below that he couldn't walk for 2 weeks, pissing blood and shit like that, man. And you see Hopkins still won the fight. He wasn't catching that shit. He wasn't, the referee wasn't seeing it. A crafty veteran fighter know how to get it in without fucking being flagged for that shit. Yeah, it was Robert Allen. Robert Allen, man, always in shape. Every time he got beat, he always worked his way back up to #1 contendership. Robert Allen was too small, though. Yeah, well, Hopkins was a pretty big middleweight. Shit, Hopkins, while his workout regimen was so damn intense while not fighting, is because if he didn't have that regimen in between fights, he would have already left the division. He had that regimen just so he can continue campaigning at that weight. Same shit Triple G do. If Triple G don't have a good regimen in between fights, he would have already been at 68 by now. But, you know, most fighters today, they don't have that old school mentality to stay in shape and to stay roughly around 10 pounds above fight weight. You know, Dark Heart 68 say all the greats know the little tricks of the trade. It's the truth. It's the truth. And they don't teach that. Most trainers out there don't know a goddamn thing about those little nuances and shit like that. You know, knowing every square inch of the ring, man, knowing how to get what you need to get done against a fighter to where it works at your advantage, and the referee not see what's going on. You know, it ain't like Hopkins was throwing blatant fucking nut shots like Abner Mares or something like that. But he was definitely getting his elbows in, he was getting his forearms in, he was getting his goddamn headbutting when he could. Hip punches. Hopkins was fucking nasty, boy. He was nasty as fuck. What else we got? Holyfield had Tyson doing the same thing. You damn right. Complaining and getting his ass with simultaneous. You goddamn right. Took the words out my mouth, man. Took the words out my mouth. Getting them headbutts in there where the referee can't see it. Start complaining. Start fighting out of character and getting your ass whooped because you don't know how to deal with it. You want the referee to see it so he can flag the shit so the dude can stop headbutting you. The referee ain't see it. Now you mad. You can't focus on the game plan and you getting your ass whooped. And that's why what Tyson do? Bit a motherfucking ear off. Tyson got so goddamn mad that he bit Holyfield's ear off, spit that bitch out, and pointed at that motherfucker. Like, bitch, I just spit your ear out. What? You know, a motherfucker had to be pissed to do some shit like that. He took a piece of his ear. What he spit out his mouthpiece, bit his ear, and then spit that bitch on the ground? Is that what he did? I forget. I have to go back. I think that's the only way you can do that shit unless you bite through your mouthpiece. But you know a motherfucker had to be pissed to do some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Pissed. But it was all because of Holyfield headbutting him and the referee not seeing it. Tricks of the trade, bro. Tricks of the trade. If you can get away with it, guess what? You become the man because of it. You know, it's just all the greats used to do that shit, especially if they didn't have the skill set of the guy who they were facing. You know you're not going to be able to match him in hand speed. You know you're not going to be able to match him in defense. You know you're not going to be able to match him in punching power or, I don't know, whatever the advantage may be. But those little tactics in there that make them fight out of fucking character may be just a tipping point for them to do something stupid and get clipped. Boxing history is riddled with shit like that. Big George literally pushed dudes with both hands. Yeah, that's a foul. That's a foul. Frazier one comes to mind. Yeah, he pushed Frazier, but he was lighting Frazier ass up, boy. Frazier was tough. He kept getting up. But god damn, can you imagine getting hit by Big George back then? My God. Fuck, man. Yeah, Tyson he was pissed, bro. He had that boy. Tyson started cheating later on. He started fucking putting motherfuckers in arm bars and all types of shit. You know, I think he put Botha in an arm bar. Wasn't Botha leaning on Tyson ass? He was beating Tyson ass at first. You know, Tyson started doing little cheats here and there until he lined him up with that big overhand, and it was all she wrote. You know? Oh, I love that old school shit, man. I love that old school shit. You know what I'm talking about? He said what's crazy. Mr. Boxing today said what's even crazy. Evander still wanted to fight. That's him, warrior, warrior. You know, of course he did, man. Not surprising with him. You know, that dude there, man. He for a small heavyweight, man. That dude shows so much fucking heart, man. It's ridiculous. Is he even in the Hall of Fame yet? I don't know. He should be up for it. You know, it took him forever to retire and shit. Motherfucker, damn near using a cane to walk. He still want to fight and shit. Yeah, buddy. So, all right, shit. I don't even know how long this damn thing went. Let's see. Is there any way you can find that shit out? No, I don't know. Oh well. What else y'all want to talk about? Old school trainers was ill. They had the cheat, crazy cheat tag. You damn right, bro. You damn right. That shit is long gone now, man. I don't even know if we got any trainers out there who got that shit in them, you know? Who know how to implement that shit in their fighter to where they're disciplined enough to do it like the throwback fighters used to do, you know? Nowadays, it's like what Teddy Atlas said: a motherfucker show up with a towel on his shoulder and boom, he a trainer. You know, kind of like the media. A motherfucker show up with a goddamn notebook, you know, fucking laptop, and he's media. You know, it's crazy, man. Boxing is so fucking wide open from all aspects. Who you got in the Lomachenko, Rigondeaux scrap? Man, bro, I got Loma, bro. I got Loma winning that fight. I think Loma is, you know, it was already a tough matchup if they were at the same weight. You know what I'm saying? I think at the same weight, Rigondeaux would have had a much better chance for the point. I think they both southpaws, and I don't think anybody knows how to fight a southpaw more than Cubans. They listen, damn near like all the motherfucker southpaw. You know, seem like it, and they grow up fighting southpaws. You know what I'm saying? And a southpaw versus southpaw is more of a style clash than a southpaw versus conventional. A southpaw's not used to fighting another lefty, but them Cubans, Cubans are used to fighting southpaw versus southpaw. Anytime you can see a Cuban southpaw versus another southpaw, a lot of times the Cuban guy gonna win. Like Lar versus Trout, same fucking shit. They got a good read on him. Another guy who used to fight southpaws well, even though he's not Cuban, was Zab. Zab fought southpaws well, even though he's a southpaw. But they're not the same weight. Loma is already a beast if they were at the same weight. Loma is more active in terms of fighting. He's on, you know, he's got a tremendous upside, of course, hand speed, conditioning, and he's accustomed to fighting at that weight. And I think it's already an uphill battle just fighting Loma, you know, to begin with, you know, and then fighting a skilled guy who has that type of conditioning and punch output and ring savvy and smarts, and then he bigger than you by 2 weights, and you inactive. So I'm gonna tell you like this: I got Loma winning the fight. I think he's gonna stop Rigondeaux. I may be in the minority on that. I don't want that for Rigondeaux. I think Rigondeaux's been passed a fucked up hand in his professional career. He basically got sat on, and we haven't seen the best of what this guy can offer as a result of it. But in this fight right here, I think it was whoever his manager is need to get goddamn fired. But if Rigo win this goddamn fight, boy, that is the win of that's the comeback victory of the year. Well, it can't be a comeback because he's not coming off a loss, but that's got to be fighter of the year status if he can pull that shit out. Because he's up against it in this fight. I don't think anybody, not too many people, is gonna choose Rigondeaux to win this fight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure you got Rigondeaux fans that's ride or die, and I don't blame you. Rigondeaux's a fucking ape in that ring. But it's too much shit going against him in this fight, and I don't think he's gonna have enough to be able to pull it out. It's bad timing. You fighting Loma at his best. Loma he's something to deal with right now, you know. And I don't know, man. I don't think I know he got the skills to make it a competitive fight, to turn it into a chess match. And the fact that I'm sure, the fact that Cubans fight southpaws way better than anybody else in the world. That's the real shit. That's the real shit. Them Cuban southpaws know how to deal with southpaws. That is the truth. But even barring that, even giving that attribute over to Rigondeaux, I don't think it's gonna be enough. You know what I'm saying? I think at some point that boy is gonna reach that chin and hit him with a big shot or a big combination and put Rigondeaux down. Rigondeaux been down before, if I'm not mistaken, from a guy who ain't even on Loma's level. Granted, he'd always come back and win, but I don't know, man. I got to give the nod to Lomachenko on that one. Homie, Mr. Boxing today, got to give Ash props. Hey, right back to you, bro. Because I'm gonna tell you like this: I wouldn't dare try to debate Mr. Boxing today on heavyweight nothing. Straight up, dog. Every time I click on one of them videos, I'm always hearing some shit that I ain't know. You know what I'm saying? You always bring out something with heavyweight, but when I want to know something about heavyweight boxing, I'm going to Mr. Boxing today. I always been like that. Now, a lot of times Mr. Boxing today be like, hey, Ash, do a video on this heavyweight, and I don't do it. It's a reason. I'd rather you do that shit, bro. Because I don't think nobody break that shit down better than Mr. Boxing today, and that's just keeping it 100, dog. That's just keeping it 100, bro. That's why I don't ever do too many heavyweight videos, bro. Because that's your shit, man. That's your niche. Not saying you can't do none of the other ways. You break boxing down good. But to me, and I'm sure to a lot of the guys in the boxing communities, we all know if you want to know about heavyweight boxing, bar none, over everybody else out there, you know where to go to. And that's just 100. They have a rehydration clause. Shit, what that clause say? What Rigondeaux, I mean, Lomachenko can't he can't weigh over a certain weight or what? Because he can't weigh over 140 on fight night, or what's anything about the rehydration clause? See, this shit here should have been at least at a catch weight. You didn't know they dead wrong pulling Rigondeaux up 2 weight classes, bro. That don't make no fucking sense. You ain't got no fights at 130. Take your ass to lightweight and quit bullshitting, And that's just keeping it all the way funky. You know what I'm talking about? Just being real. Why? I mean, yeah, you know why they doing? Because it's gonna look good having Rigondeaux on his resume, and that's just straight good management and good promotion. But it sucks for fucking Rigondeaux. You know what I'm saying? That's really fucked up. Rigondeaux been dealt a real fucked up hand since he's been a professional. It's sad, bro. Yes, Loma comes in too heavy on fight night. Say he can come in at 139. Oh, that is not too bad. I mean, shit. Weighing in at 130 pounds, 9 pounds. I mean, that's a lot of weight, but at least it ain't 15 pounds. And Rigondeaux, hell, I don't even know if he can make the weight. That motherfucker may come in at 125 or something. You know what I'm saying? 126, barely 126 and a half. He gonna have to show me that he can put on the weight and be in tip-top shape and fight at 130 pounds, skipping weight classes and shit. Say Rigondeaux 35 in real life, 35 years old or 135? And Rigondeaux don't get too out of shape anyway. So if he can come in at 30, he probably put back maybe about 1 or 2, 3 pounds on fight night if he can make 30 comfortably. We'll see what happens, man. It's not easy. Number one, it's not easy going up in weight. All of these modern fighters got the boxing fans spoiled into thinking that, hey, man, just go up in weight. Hey, just go up in weight. It ain't easy going up in weight. You fighting a substantially bigger guy. God damn, he 35 already? I wonder how old Loma is, man. 35, he's shit. I guess Rigondeaux, like, damn if I do, damn if I don't. He getting up there in age, can't wait forever for the big fights. They fucked over him. Cubans be lying about their age. I guess like they, well, I don't want to put that out there. Coming to America, Rigondeaux by 167 years old. No shit. That's fucked up. Man. Like I said, man, it's not easy going up in weight. A lot of guys, they go up in weight. They were dominated one weight. They go up one weight class and get clipped. Look at your boy Ricky Hatton. Look at your boy Ricky Hatton, man. He went up in weight. He was universally recognized as a super lightweight champion. Got that as well. He won a controversial title over Luis Collazo. Y'all remember that one? And then he got clipped against Floyd and took his ass right back down to super lightweight. But then you got guys that come in the game and just go through weight classes like it ain't shit. Like nobody ever seen Pacquiao do the shit. Nobody ever seen the shit Pacquiao did before. That's probably why everybody thought he was on dope. You know, it would have alleviated all the speculation had the motherfucker just taken a shot back in the game. But you know, we already know what happened. The fight got dragged out. Floyd didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight. He wanted to fight. Floyd wanted to fight. It was just bullshit for 6 years. But you got guys like Duran, who shit, I think he finished at what, light heavyweight or something like that. We talking about one of the greatest lightweights of all time. Motherfucker, I don't know. Maybe he just kept eating, man. Motherfuckers be eating their way. Look at Camacho Jr. Remember Camacho Jr. was a 40-pounder? Shit, Camacho Jr. was a damn good 40-pounder, man. He could box, but that motherfucker just kept eating. And he just, I don't know, he just didn't take boxing too serious and shit, ate himself out of contention to where he became the joke. Was it 68? He finished at 68? Okay. I thought it was 75, but I just remember him fighting Joppy, and he got beat down when he fought Joppy. And, you know, of course, he was way past it at that point, but yeah, but got fat. Camacho Jr. was pretty good and got fat. Who else, man? Speaking of guys who was pretty good and got fat, I said this last night on Mr. Boxing Today. His hangout. Tyson Fury, man. This dude about 350. He ain't fought in 2 years. Man, to me, that dude done. That's just not indicative of no fucking fighter, man. I don't see, man, you ain't never seen no fighter behave like that. This dude became the heavyweight world champion and just said, fuck it, I'm spending the night at goddamn Golden Corral forever. What type of shit is that, bro? So I'm seeing these videos of him trying to get back. He just looked terrible, man. He just looked terrible. To me, he's done. He gonna come back. He probably get himself in some type of shape for a fight, and he gonna get that ass beat. He probably won't get stopped, but he gonna get beat. Hell yeah, that is wasted talent. What the fuck is this man thinking, man? I don't, man. It's just really disappointing, man. It ain't like when Ricky Hatton used to blow up in weight, which we already know he used to blow up in weight in between fights. But when it was time to fight, that motherfucker would get down and get in shape and get on weight and win. You know, and I ain't no Ricky Hatton fan, but I used to criticize the shit out of Ricky Hatton back in the game because of that shit. But he used to make me eat my words because it worked for him, you know? Mr. Boxing Today said, I'm leaning towards Loma 60-40. Although I'm rooting for Rigo, I enjoy and appreciate his style. Counter-punching master, but Loma seems to be fresher, stronger, and just as dynamic, if just not more. And that's, man, I can't argue whatsoever with that, man. And it's sad, man. It's just sad that Rigo has basically had to sell himself just to get this big fight, man. Because, you know, Bob Arum, bro, I'm telling you, bro, that dude be picking and choosing. He be picking and choosing, man, who he want to, you know, promote heavily. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it was me, you know, I'm really surprised that Terrence Crawford is even a top fighter in the top ranked stable. And I got my own thoughts of why that is, to be honest. I think it's because Top Rank took a gamble, not just putting him in a big fight, because what's his name? Mikey Garcia is the one that told Bob, hey, this guy Terrence Crawford, I know him from the amateurs. He the shit. And that's how Bob signed him. So kudos to Mikey Garcia when he didn't have to say a goddamn thing, you know? Number two, it was a fight against who's the guy that beat fucking Amir Khan, knocked him out, the first to knock him out. Oh, goddamn, what is his name? I can't think of his name. But Bob Arum put Terrence Crawford in, I think, a super lightweight fight against him, the guy that knocked out Amir Khan first. And Crawford wasn't even he wasn't even a super lightweight at that time. Even though he would take fights in between weights, because he had no promoter, he had no big time promoter or manager at that time. Yeah, Brandis Prescott. He didn't have Terrence Crawford didn't have no big superstar promoter at that time, big time management at that time. So he had to take the fights how he can get them. Like most fighters in the gym. When you go to the gym, that's how the situation is. Most fighters got to take the fights that they can get. That's just the bottom line. Everybody don't have an Al Heyman, a Bob Arum, a Golden Boy, a Artie Palulo, all of Dan Goose. Well, he did. Rest in peace. Have it like that. But Bob put him in there with Prescott, and he beat the brakes off of Prescott. Then Bob gave him a fight in Nebraska and was surprised because Nebraska they showed up for him and sold the fucking joint out. And ever since then, it's like we seeing a revival of Bob and his promoting the African American fighters. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying Bob racist or nothing like that. I'm not going there. I'm just saying the ability to promote African American fighters in today's game, But Nebraska showed up for him, and now he that dude for Top Rank. So I don't know. We know Bob have promoted Sugar Ray Leonard and a lot of the throwback fighters. So I'm not saying he a racist. He don't give off that vibe for me. But he, as a business, he not willing to throw it all away behind an African American fighter. I think Golden Boy is more likely to invest in African American fighters than Bob. So, for a while, even Adrian Broner could sell out Cincinnati. I think once he showed Oscar he could do that, Adrian Broner became that dude. Shit, when thinking about it, shit, I remember Danny Garcia wasn't even supposed to be where he is today. It seemed like they were setting Danny Garcia up for failure earlier in his career, but he started winning. He wasn't expected to beat Amir Khan. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't expected to beat a lot of the guys that he was winning against. But he did. So boxing funny like that, man. Golden Boy desperate, they'll promote anyway. You damn right, bro. How the fuck do you lose all that talent? I saw a video, one of D-Style's videos, talking about Oscar wanting to promote Deontay Wilder again. And how he throwing shade, saying that if I had Wilder, Anthony Joshua would be begging for a shot at the heavyweight champion and not the other way around. And D-Style, he felt some type of way about that. And because Oscar talking greasy, I get it. But Don used to do the same shit, so to me, it's fair game. Don tried to intervene at any point where he could steal a fighter. Especially like wasn't it when Rockman beat I think it was Lennox? Didn't Don kind of weasel his way up in that thing? When Cedric Kushner was trying to get, throwing around millions of dollars worth of figures for the rematch. 100 million here, 100 million there, 100 million 200 million 5. Then all of a sudden, Don weaseled his way up in that thing. Am I tripping? I may be tripping, but I thought Don did that same shit. Don used to do that shit all the time, man. Any point he can to weasel in and steal a fighter, now he got the guy. But at the same time, I gotta concur with Oscar, even though D-Style made a lot of good points in that video. How Schaefer is the guy who built Golden Boy and secured a lot of the sponsorships, a lot of the partnerships and stuff like that made them the premier promotional company in the sport of boxing. I must say this because I got to keep it 100. Golden Boy's name being attached to it is what gave that promotion company the allure or I don't know the word I'm looking for. It was a seal of approval, man. It had the Golden Boy's name attached to it. So with the Golden Boy's name being attached to it, that also gave a lot of leverage to a smart guy like Richard Schaefer to go out and do these things. Why am I saying that? Who the fuck was Richard Schaefer prior to getting with Golden Boy? He was just a banker, right? Which is not a bad thing. You know, he was getting cake anyway, but didn't nobody know who the fuck Richard Schaefer was. It was the fact that he was hired on Golden Boy Promotions, which Oscar was the face of. And the fact that Oscar was the face of this company and he had a competent, educated businessman running it, they were able to secure a lot of these things and help promote their fighters to a whole different level. Because at one point, they had a stable of they had all the fighters Golden Boy did. Now, are you telling me that you think, because number one, you hear guys say, well, build more champions, build champions or something like that, you know. But here's the thing. Golden Boy, do you think all that talent they had on their roster signed with Golden Boy because Schaefer was attached to it? Or because Oscar name was involved, the Golden Boy, a motherfucker that accrued more money than most heavyweights in history in terms of pay-per-view. And before Floyd was even a pay-per-view attraction, Golden Boy had all the fucking pay-per-view. Oscar had all the pay-per-view records. So it seemed like everything Oscar touched turned into gold, hence the name Golden Boy. So you think if Schaefer would have joined, let's say, Banner Promotions or Warrior Promotions or something like that, do you think they would have secured all the talent that they had on the Golden Boy roster in order to do all the things that Golden Boy Promotions was able to do? I don't think so. I think it was both. Even though Oscar ain't do a goddamn thing, his face was the brand. The brand was his face. You know what I'm saying? You can attach the brand to his name. It's just the fact that they had a very smart guy running it as the CEO that they were able to do all these other things. You know what I'm saying? But the talent didn't sign to Golden Boy because Schaefer was there. They signed to it because they thought Oscar could catapult their careers to superstardom, because that's the only history Oscar has ever exuded. That's the only history he's ever known, whether he was an amateur or as a professional. You know what I'm saying? It just so happens Oscar was a big time fucking, he was getting his nose dirty. He was snorting dope and having girls fucking, put fist in his ass and shit like that, to where everybody was like, man, this dude here is on a whole nother page, man. I'm out. So I don't know. That's just my take on that. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what we got. Richard gamed the situation. Richard is a beast. I think he the one that probably taught Leonard Ellerby how to be a promoter. I think that's what Leonard said. He was learning from Richard. Smart guys, man. Smart guys. Just like Heyman. Heyman is a smart guy. A lot of people don't like him. Fuck it. He's a guy that got a Juris Doctorate from Harvard. A lot of these promoters and shit are Harvard alum. Al Heyman is Harvard alum. Lou DiBella is Harvard alum. Bob Arum is Harvard alum. A lot of motherfuckers that came out of Harvard, Ivy League schools, got way too much smarts for their own fucking good. And Al Heyman just kind of took his smarts to a whole nother level. He fucked the game up from a level from a place that he never been. Don had those tricky exclusive contracts. If you were to beat his fighter, you goddamn right. Them options. Famous for them goddamn options, man. And your next goddamn 4 or 5 fights, you're gonna be fighting under DKP, damn crown in the ring and all over the TV screen. You damn right, bro. Them options. When Schaefer left, Golden Boy began to fall off. Yeah, because all they goddamn talent signed, they were already with Al Heyman anyway. But once their promotional contract ran out, that was it. They just didn't sign with another promoter. And a lot of them are just like that right now. Because it's more lucrative for them to have a manager securing all these dates on these networks and organizing fighters, and to have a promotional company take none of the overhead, spending no money. All they got to do is just promote the fight. Not even using their own money, for all I know. But the promoter that they use, I mean, because Al Heyman didn't have anybody promote their fight, even Golden Boy to this day. If Golden Boy wanted, well, I don't know if they wanted to, but if they get an opportunity to have their fighters on Premier Boxing, it would be the same situation. They had no overhead. They get to fill the undercard with the little fighters that they got. And at the end of the day, they promoted a fight and they're going to get some of the cut of the revenue. You know what I'm saying? It's the ideal situation for promoters. And it's a good way for these smaller promoters to get their name out there too. But I think so far he's still using name promoters. I know he used Don King one time because they basically have frozen Don King out of boxing. The networks and media involved, and the fighters ain't signing with him because his history of running pipe in him. But Don, hey, you make the bed, you lie in that motherfucker. So Don still got one fighter left. He got Amir Aman, and he got Stavern, but Stavern just goddamn had a fucking pacifier in his mouth a minute ago. Don almost out this piece, and it ain't because he ain't got money. He got money, but he ain't got no connections and he ain't got no fighters. It's gonna be hard for Don to stay up in this thing. King was shady, but gave us some damn good heavyweight fights. Yeah, for a while too. Even when he was promoting heavyweight tournaments with guys that most people didn't know who the fuck they was. But it got attention because Don's name was attached to it. You know what I'm saying? Because his name was attached to it, it got attention. It wouldn't have been the same thing if, let's say, some ho-hum promoter was promoting the shit. But at that time, you had King Vision. He still had some type of clout with the networks. And I think he was on Showtime a lot of those times because HBO was bullshitting, fucking up, not want to deal with him and shit. And we were still getting some good heavyweight scraps, even with the guys that we didn't even know, that most people didn't know, For a while, King gave us a lot of good fights, maybe like 8 goddamn world title fights on a pay-per-view, just crazy shit. And nobody's been able to promote like that since Don, to me. I think if Don would have had a lot of these star fighters of today and yesterday that other guys have had, they probably would have been bigger stars, but they probably would have been a lot more broke. Well, so all right. I gotta cut this shit off at some point, man. I appreciate all y'all for coming through, hollering at your boy Ash, man, and checking out my hangout. I like the Google Hangouts, man, because all you gotta do is do one take. I don't have to stop, record. Well, I never really did it like that any goddamn way, but I don't have to upload. To me, that's the biggest thing, uploading. All I got to do is just turn the shit on, spit my little old piece, and it's over. And it's real-time interaction because I don't get a chance to read all the comments all the time. So, but I appreciate y'all coming through, hollering at your boy, man. I'm going to think of something else to talk about. And shit, I guess I'll do another one at a later date. But I'm gonna holler at y'all, man. I appreciate y'all for stopping through. Hit that like button on your way out, or drop me a comment or whatever you want to do, man. I'm out.